Hello, darling. I'm Christopher, aka Plant Kween, and this is my handmade home in Brooklyn, darling. Basically, Plant Kween is a journey where I express myself as a non-binary femme and explore the wonders of plant parenthood. So my profession, I'm an educator, so Plant Kween is about providing opportunities for folks to learn about the wonders and beauty that is indoor gardening. I got into plants with my grandmother. She was really into gardening, and it was a space for her to create moments of joy and healing. And so when I was younger, she would take me to some of her favorite nurseries in Philadelphia. And it was a magical experience, especially as like a little baby queen, you know, looking at this luscious, magical jungle of a nursery. And so she would let me pick some of the plants that she would take home. And whenever I was over her house, she would remind me to water them. And so at a very young age, my grandmother was nurturing the nurture in me. And so about 5 years ago, I went out and bought my very first plant. It's a Marble Queen pothos. She was struggling, and I made a promise to myself that if I could take care of this plant, then I had something on my hands. And so 5 years later, she's 9 feet long. I've propagated her multiple times, so she's all over the apartment. And she has over 200 sisters. I like to describe my apartment as maximalist when it comes to plants and minimalist when it comes to decor. So I like the decor to be like very spaced out. I love blank walls. I like blank spaces. People may find it weird, but it's I don't know. I think it's like a plant parent thing. But whenever I step into a space, I whip out my phone and I pull out the Compass app. And I'm like, oh, what direction are the windows facing? And so that was like the first thing I did when I got in here. And I was like, south-facing windows? Not 1, but 5 south-facing windows? Oh yes. I was like, let's go. Deposit already in, application sent. Am I approved? Let's go. One of the first things that I did when I got the keys was that I came here, I cleaned the space, I cleansed the space, and I ordered food, and I sat on the floor, and I watched the sun move throughout the space. It was so peaceful, so calming. I had a little playlist playing. I was like in a very zen mood. And as the sun moved throughout the space throughout the day, I marked those particular spots. And I was like, oh, this would be good for this particular plant. The sun is here for this amount of time. And so that was like the very first thing that I did. I just wanted to get a better grasp of the environment that I was bringing my plants into. All right, darling, so we are currently in my little plant nook, and I have about 90 green girls in this particular space. And the very first thing that I did when I got this apartment was install the shelves. If you know anything about moving into spaces in Brooklyn, going vertical is the way to go because we just don't have a lot of floor space. So 9 times out of 10, giving your plant too much sunlight will cause sunburn. And so because I get direct light, I have sheer curtains on the curtain rod to kind of filter out some of that light so the plants aren't getting that harsh sun rays, but are getting filtered bright light. So that's always the way to go, especially if you have south-facing windows. And so, one of my prized possessions is Miss Monstera Deliciosa. This queen right here, she's a bit of a diva. She's taking up a lot of space, but she's absolutely beautiful. And I actually started this queen. It started with this one little leaf right here. So I bought this queen in downtown Manhattan in Chinatown, and she was sitting in a vase, and they were rooting her in water. And I was like, let me see if I can get this queen to grow. And so I brought the queen home. She struggled for a bit. I didn't know if she was gonna make it. And I just allowed her roots to mature in the water. And I think it's been almost 4 years now. And she's grown into this amazing vine. So Miss Monstera Deliciosa is native to the tropical rainforest of Central America. And if you notice, she has these beautiful roots that are growing. And so these are aerial roots. And we have to remember that the green girls that we bring into our spaces are just small little miniature versions of their majestic selves in the wild. And so this queen is actually a vine, a very, very large vine. And you can kind of get that feel as you're looking at this particular queen. And so if she was in the wild, she would be growing up a surface, whether that's a tree trunk or a wall, and these roots would be anchored into that surface. She's not doing that right now because I don't have the space just yet, but I will be applying a moss pole to this queen sometime soon so that it mimics the natural environment and habitat that she would grow in the wild. I use that space as an opportunity to just lose myself in my little indoor jungle. And so sometimes when I'm having like a very stressful day or I just need to take a break from technology, we all need a break from technology at this point, I'll literally just go in there, no technology, close the door, and kind of just either engage in like some pruning, may identify some vines that I want to propagate. And so using mindful gardening as a opportunity to engage in meditation, right? Because meditation could look so many different ways. It doesn't have to be you just sitting there with your legs crossed. It could be like whatever you need to do in order to be fully present in your body. And gardening sometimes allows me to do that. Darling, sometimes our green girls need a little haircut, and that comes in the form of pruning. And so what you'll find is that yellowing leaves like these, or browning leaves, basically decaying leaves, are more likely to attract pests. And so the best thing to do to keep your green girl serving those lush looks is to give her a little trim. Okay, girl, so we are now in my little corner of my living room, and this is basically where I get a lot of my work done. This is my little makeshift office space. I have some random little instruments. I believe the saxophone is such a sexy and beautiful instrument. I do not know how to play it, but I appreciate it from afar. I put it on my playlist, little saxophone instrumental moment. We have some snake plants here. We have this snake plant, and then we also have this one over here. This snake plant is one of my favorite plants because they're so easy to care for. They're adaptable when it comes to different lighting situations, and they're wonderful air purifiers. And so always gotta have a little bit of the snake plant in the area. And so these are, some of the green girls that keep me company when I'm working. And I tend to have a plant buddy of the day where I'll, place that plant on my desk and kind of just use it as an opportunity to inspect the leaves and escape the screens. And so it's a little practice that I do to help me stay grounded and rooted. So I love my bathroom, and the reason that, I was particularly drawn to this bathroom was because it had a window. So a south-facing bathroom window, yes God, everything. I enjoy when there's like a creative element to how the plant is existing. And so in my bathroom, I have a staghorn fern. And I have a complicated relationship with ferns, and I feel like a lot of plant parents do. People say that they're picky. I don't think they're picky. I think they just know what they enjoy. And they're like, girl, if you're not giving it to me, I'm not gonna thrive, right? And so, ferns really, really enjoy moisture, humidity. If you give them too much sun, their leaves will burn. So they're delicate queens, but if you give them what they need, they grow so beautifully. And so the staghorn fern is a much hardier fern, more resilient. And so I have a staghorn fern in my bathroom that's growing out of a coconut shell. And I have had that plant for about 4 years now. And she's had her ups and downs, but I think I found like the perfect spot for her in the bathroom where she gets filtered bright light and she gets a lot of humidity and moisture. And so she's just been thriving. I also have a staghorn fern in my bedroom that's mounted on wood. And so it's literally like a piece of living art, which I'm just like, yes, if I can incorporate that to my space, lovely. All plants are works of art. She's gorgeous, she's sturdy, she's resilient, and one of my favorite green girls in my bedroom. Well, honey, welcome to the bedroom. This was one of the last spaces that I greened up, and I wanted to do so intentionally and really piece it together and not rush the process. And so some of my favorite aspects of the bedroom has to be this green girl right here. She is the Monstera Albo Variegata. She has these beautiful little white variegation on her leaves, and she's a hot ticket right now because she grows very slowly. And that has to do partly because of her anatomy and that some of her leaves lack chlorophyll. So she's just a little slower when it comes to growing, which also means that growers in nurseries have to wait some time for them to grow and mature. So she's a hot ticket. I actually got her for $50 back in the day, about maybe 3-4 years ago. You could not find her for that price, but she's mine. I love her and she's adorable. I really enjoy gold trimmings. I don't know why, but I really do. And so I have these cute little gold shelves. I have the books on the floor and I have the plants on the shelves. This shelf right here actually was a mistake. As I was putting the shelves on the wall, the second one slid down to like this slanted position. And I was like, oh, this actually looks pretty cute and different. And so I kind of kept it that way. And then on the other side of my bedroom, I have a little collection of cacti. When I first began my journey, I stayed away from cacti. I was like, oh, they're rough, I don't know if I want to get into them. And then the more and more I study cacti, I realized how delicate, intricate, and really beautiful they are. And so these are a variety of different cacti. You have the spiral cactus right there. You have the prickly pear cactus right here. And these queens are, green girls that are really resilient and actually don't really need a lot of care. They just need a good amount of sunlight, and that you make sure you check the moisture of their soil because you want to make sure that they dry out completely. I think of my plants as like my girlfriend. They are beings that allow an opportunity for introspection, for self-care, for reflection. And I think it's always good to have a good group of girlfriends to remind you to care for yourself. And I feel like that's what my plants really do for me. And so, when I'm watering my plants, I'm like, am I drinking enough water? If I'm like figuring out, are they getting enough sunlight? Did I let sunlight touch my body today, right? And then when I'm like, making sure they have the nutrients that they need to grow, I'm like, well, did I give myself, my body, being and soul, the nutrients I need to continue to spread my roots? So my green girls, are a constant reminder of the various different ways that I need to constantly engage in caring for myself. And darling, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to Handmade for more home tours like this, honey.